All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like our intro is messing up, not playing. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, Robbie and Tyson, for getting on here. Appreciate it. Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. So we've got a good one tonight. We're gonna get into some old school stuff, going old school and what that looks like for the King. We got a good come on man, and it involves Robbie this week. So we'll talk about that. I'll give you guys a little update on the wagon, and we'll talk Blizzard Bash versus Gold Rush. We got some drivers lists coming out, whose team you're on, and these guys are going head to head, so competing for drivers, and it'll be an interesting conversation. I kind of made a list of what teams. I haven't seen the Gold Rush team list come out yet, but I made a list of what teams are not on the Blizzard Bash Gold Rush or the Blizzard Bash team list. So we can get into that. But first and foremost, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't follow our socials, we're putting out a lot of content on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook Reels, and that's all of us. That's Triple D Entertainment. That's the simple solution. That's Under the Table Graphics. Make sure you get on there and follow us. We appreciate that. It means a lot when we go outside of the Derby world to say, hey, look, these are the people that are paying attention to us, that are following us and support us. So, and those conversations are happening frequently. Tomorrow, I'm going to be in a seminar with a bunch of different people that are going to maybe possibly take a look at the Derby world. So
Sweet.
they look at those things. But let's get into this, guys. We're going old school. We always have a second class at the King of Ohio. Last 2 years or the last 3 years, it's been a pro stock class. The pro stock hasn't really taken off for us. And we hear these guys beating the drum of they want a lighter build. Well, the pro stock is the lighter build. Maybe they want the throwback. So we kind of mentioned that in the past. And what exactly that would be. Well, it's going to be a 2010 like Metal Mayhem rules. I don't want to say we're using those rules exactly, but we're going to use something similar, a throwback to like 2010-ish rules. And the reason why you can't use those rules exactly, obviously, there's someone else's rules, so we're not using those rules exactly. But also, when you look through those rules, guys, it is there's a reason why rules are written different today than they were then. Those were state of the art rules then, but when you read them in today's lingo and today's verbiage, there is a lot of gray areas. So, with that said, though, you guys excited to see some of this old school stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, how is the poll doing? Do you know? Have you got an update on that?
80%. So it's 80% going back 2010 Mayhem rules. Last time I looked.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people may be like, man, I don't even know what 2010 Mayhem rules were. Well, 2010 Mayhem was widely considered like one of the best times of a great derby, and a lot of people like that style. What it was is it was your allowed training protectors. You weren't allowed anything to touch the front of the back or the front and the back of the motor. It was 5 on 5 off trunks, and there was some other things that were pretty vague. But if you guys remember, right, and we've mentioned this a couple times, this is when the Fords kind of made their statement on the national stage, and that included Toby Hiley, Mark Elliott, and Toast, who kind of introduced what the 98 to 02s are to the Derby world back in 2010 there. I think it'll be kind of interesting to see who takes old school, in these rule sets. Oh, by the way, there's no hump plates in this rule set. So it'll be interesting to see who follows that rule set. These guys, this is what they've been calling for. They've been calling for these old school rules. So that will be our second big class at the King of Ohio and 2024. What do you guys think? Those rules, does it favor a wagon, old school? Does it favor the Fords? What are we going to see?
I think the new style Fords. I mean, the wagons have the leaf springs and stuff, but the way everybody builds a new style stuff, 2010, like you said, that when they brought that out, they were some of the first seeings of the new style stuff and did really good. So,
yeah, I think you're going to see definitely some new style do some work, in that particular class. What you got, Tyson?
I was just curious. I'm not really familiar with the rule set. I was curious if is the springs and all that stuff, the leaf springs and that's the shackles, is that all got to remain stock then, or?
Yep, that's
So,
stock.
I mean,
We're talking about a pretty stock
Yeah.
build in today's world.
Okay. So yeah, probably. I mean, I think break the spindles off of the old schools and motor around and maneuver around better in the Ford, probably.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. There are some clarifications, and I've kind of went through this already, but we've got to talk about Watts links. They had a 10-gallon fuel cell back then. What it looks to hard nose bumpers on like the rear end.
Yeah.
With the rear tail light assembly. So back then, most people were just running like brackets, right? They weren't hard nosing. So we got to determine if we're going to allow that. Steering components have changed a lot, in 14 years. So what exactly is going to be allowed there? Back then, and you guys kind of know what this is, but Watts links weren't really a thing back then. People were actually swapping 80s package tray Fords, the whole package tray out in the 9802s.
Yep.
Which makes total sense, right? I mean, we know exactly why they were doing that, but fast forward 14 years, now you've got like Watts links and conversions and things like that. O3s weren't even thought of. So what are we going to do with O3s in that class? O3s could kind of throw a little hiccup in the plans of that old school type build, which is going to be interesting. And gas tank protectors and oil coolers are all things that we've got to address in this new rule set. So again, we're going to base this rule set on 2010 and go from there. We've got some comments rolling in. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, Ben, this is going to be in a year. So back then it'll be in a year. This will be interesting. So here's a comment. Does this pull some of these Illinois guys to come over and play in Ohio? These guys say they like the stocker builds, and this is right up their alley. I know both of these guys ran and never missed Metal Mayhem in the past. Again, we're not running Metal Mayhem, but it is going to be based off of that version of rules in 2010. So it's a throwback class. And we will be doing heats and features with this class. We'll take 60 cars. How big do you guys want to do it? And this is kind of the question that we will be asking. I've got no problem paying $25,000 to win in this class. Obviously, it's going to be a little higher entry fee if we do that. I also know that we already have a higher entry fee and a big paying show with $50K to win and 60 cars, and we could do 10,000. So it's kind of the thought. Well, you guys have an opinion on that?
I think we give them the option. I don't know how long you wait on the option, but I think we'll probably end up seeing the lower cost entry fee with the 10,000 to win. That would be my guess, is what it turns out to be.
I think that's a better option also. I mean, I just ran a derby and helped the derby that, there was no money to be won and everybody junked their stuff. It was awesome seeing that. So I think the lower entry fee for the lower amount of money which $10,000 is still a lot of money to win. So
Yeah, that's nothing to shake a stick at. Maybe we
No.
pay a little bit further down. Have a pretty friendly entry fee for these guys. Pay further down and take care of this throwback class, and these guys coming back. Maybe we'll open it up. I hope we can reach out to Tori. I've talked to him a couple times, and I'll reach out to Tori, who was the promoter back then, and see if he can pull some of those old timers out of the weeds and see if they got anything left. A couple other things I wanted to touch on with that class. I was watching, so I went back and watched that 2010 and 2018. If you guys don't know, DerbyNation.tv, if you guys are subscribed to that, if you go to the Derby Rewinds, I think it is, it's called the Derby Rewind. You can go back. They have 2008 Metal Mayhem and they have 2010 Metal Mayhem, which is pretty cool. Just so happens that Randy Schwarzkopf won both. But I saw some very familiar names in 2008. I saw Ziz in there. I saw Santel. I saw Chad Markley. I saw who else was in there? Bob Whitaker. I mean, the familiar names of Metal Mayhem were all in there, and again in 2010. So let's throw it back. Let's give some of these guys what they're asking for. See if we can pull some of these Indiana, Illinois guys and mix them with this Ohio group and see what this old school feel will be like. You guys
Bobby,
got
do you
anything?
think any of the Kentucky guys would be interested in anything like that, or is that?
Yeah, I would think they would be. Absolutely. I
Gotcha.
know that a lot of guys around here run the motor swap style builds, and if you ask me, it sounds like the description of what Dustin's talking about is pretty close to that. So, and they're not running for 10 grand, just saying. So I definitely think that they'd be interested.
Cool.
Yeah, but I mean, basically, it's a motor swap build. I mean,
Pretty much.
back then the Big Rock Cradle stuff was just starting to happen. So, but they weren't allowed to connect the front and the back part of the motors. So you
Right.
had basically a pro stock build. You had a mid plate type deal. You could protect your tranny, but cars still bend. I mean, I encourage you to go back and watch some of those derbies. I mean, it was an old school feel. Another thing about it, which I really like, is it was stock bumpers, guys. Stock seam welded bumpers, which it was really cool to see the 76s, the 74s on a lot of these cars, and they're bending. They're not just like just two hammers hitting each other. Like these bumpers are bending, twisting. Frames are not staying straight. So that's pretty cool to see. Okay, the Val's a fan.
Yep.
He says 25K will fill.
If I remember right, that was like right when the distributor protectors and stuff like that was starting to be a big thing. And it's pretty much, some of the motor swap style build stuff around here now. So I couldn't imagine why this class wouldn't fill, even if you decided to go with the bigger payout. I still think it would fill. Just maybe keep it a lesser payout, a win for the first place, and then just pull more money down for more spots, or whatever, pay more spots out.
Yeah, I'm thinking we want to do a little. If you want to run for really big money, the King class is where it's at.
Right.
We're approaching. I mean, that class is going to fill. I mean, we're over 40 entries, and there's a lot of people that say they're running that haven't signed up yet. I'm just not counting their entry until they're actually paid. So if you want to run for the 50K, you're looking King class. Maybe we structure that class paying down a little better and see what these guys like. I would love to see some of these old school guys come out of retirement. Guys, I mean, how long have we been hearing these guys, these big names are beatable? Well, here's an old school rule set, okay, that plays into your hand. And if these guys are so beatable, come beat them in the format. Here it is. The stage is set for you guys. Yeah, it was. There was different things going on back then. So obviously you had the DP stuff bolting to the back of the heads, but then you had the big rock stuff that was just getting pretty innovative.
Yeah, I remember when those came out.
I remember, funny story. I remember I was in Salina and I was talking to Roland Crouch, and Roland said, "Did you see those new big rock cradles?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I seen anything." This was back in like the We Crash days when you got all your information on We Crash. And he was like, "Dude, people are paying $1,250 for a complete cradle these days." And he's like, "This is crazy. It's absolutely insane." Now think about that.
I'll take 10.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. I mean, it has just evolved so much. Junkyard Dog, the limit's 60. We're going to take 60 cars for the class.
How would you run that class? Just heats or what?
Yep, same thing. It's the same thing as our Kings class. It's going to be
You
60
just draw
cars. You'll
names,
draw
just
three.
draw names for the heats.
Yep,
Nice.
everything will be the same as the King class.
That takes a lot of the BS out of it right there. It's awesome.
Well, Robbie, everybody's beating this drum of competition.
Love it.
It's hard to have competition unless you actually have a format that displays competition.
Love it.
So here we actually, instead of talk about it, we are actually about it. And you actually do have to compete here. And we were talking about this earlier today with the Mad Dog stuff and why we don't do Mad Dogs. And we're going to have something for Mad Dogs at our show. But the reason why we don't do Mad Dogs is because it's subjective. And our event is all about how good you are in competition, which means wins or losses. No participation trophies here.
Yeah, I think the last thing you want to do is have two guys put on a Mad Dog show or in a heat, and then you have to go to the flip the coin thing, and then somebody's got to lose. To where if you're only choosing the winners are getting rewarded. Then there's no argument. Nobody's uh, upset because they should have got it or whatever. So
I've been put in that situation promoting myself, and it's not fun.
yeah.
And there's a place for it. There's a place for Mad Dogs, county fairs and things like that. It's just this show is it's a kill or be killed, and hell, I mean, heck, any of
Really?
those front wheel drive heats were Mad Dog heats.
Yeah, but really, in those heats though, they're all, the style of your show. Everybody's going because they don't want to be killed. You know what I mean? Go now or you're going to get it. So, really, the only time you could give an aggressive driver or mad dog or a wheelman or whatever you wanted to call it would be in your feature heats. So, you know what I'm saying? Like the heats itself, you have to go or you're going to get it yourself. So,
Yeah.
It'd be hard to give those away in the heats. It would have to be in the feature if you did anything like that. So.
Yeah, and Mad Dogs are fun. I mean, it's just I've got Mad Dogs myself. Some people, if they see me drive here in a month, they may claim that I've never got a Mad Dog in my life, but we're gonna be driving to win over there. We're not gonna be driving to
65-gallon fuel cell.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna need a gas. I'm gonna need a pit stop.
I've almost got it done. Your 100-gallon fuel cell. I've almost got it done for you.
Yeah, I'm running my fuel lines through the cages and everything.
Old NASCAR trick.
Brian's got a good comment here. If it's close or questionable, no award given. Works like skins in a golf scrap. But yeah, man. I mean, look, if we ran more county fairs, and we would probably have Mad Dogs and things like that. Just at our show, we don't do that. We're trying to come up with something like an award for who takes out the most cars. I think that would be a really cool award. I just don't know how we would police that during the Derby. It would almost have to be an award that we give, after the Derby.
Yeah. Rewatch a film or something.
Yeah, exactly. There was something else I wanted to comment on. Mad Dogs. I I don't know what else I was going to say there. Well, let's get into our "Come On Man" segment, and this involves Robbie and the Most Wanted Fine Arts. I see you got a new trophy back there. What'd you do
Yeah,
last weekend?
I've got 2 trophies. I got the ribbon and I got the MWFA. I won the MWFA class, and Anthony Wallace, another Kentucky guy, a close friend of mine, also a vendor of Cannonball Derby parts. He got second place. His car was running bad, and it come down to us on one end, and cars were trapped on the other end of the track. So I tried to turn over, not on purpose. I tried to knock a Dodge Dakota out of the way and could put it on its side twice, trying to get through, and ended up spilling gas. So Anthony's car was already hot. So I lent my minivan to let him get into second place. We worked together down there and got him into second place, and then I took the victory. So very, very happy. There was 47 cars in that heat. We almost broke the record there, I think, which is 50 something. I think we needed 4 more to break the record, but we didn't get it. But I had a blast in New York at San Filippo 7.
And can you tell us a little bit more about that event that some of these people don't know?
San Filippo 7 was designed to raise money for a disease. I can't say the disease. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's a big, long word. And they raise money there every year to give toward, coming up with a cure for that and to raise money for that situation. There's actually a few families there that were there that talked about it. And there's zero money to be won there. They had 15 classes on Saturday and 15 classes on Sunday, and you don't win any money. A lot of promoters build parts and donate parts and figure out ways to get them parts, and that's what they give out for the winnings. And some of those parts are, like for first place, are around the $300 mark.
So you win nothing. So you won nothing.
I won a gas tank, a metal gas tank, and I donated it back so they could get even more money with it. I think Anthony won a roll of 9-wire. Hold on one second. I'll show you the back of this trophy. And how they do this. These would be moved down to the trophy room. I just put them up there for this video. But like on the back, it says Gray Area tank. So that tank that I won was donated by Gray Area. And I donated it back to give it to somebody else for another prize or sell it or whatever they got to do to get more money for the cure. So I wasn't there to win anything. I wanted to go have a good time just like everybody else that was there. So a lot of handshaking, and you should see, I mean, a lot of the cars were fresh. $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 bodies with full-blown real deal drivetrains in them, just flat junk when it come off the track. Amazing.
All for a good cause. And
all for a good cause. The stands were completely full. There were people sitting in the steps.
Well, that's really cool that they got to raise that kind of money and that you're a part of that. Decker, one thing he does is he's a heck of a promoter. So he gets out there and he definitely beats the drum, and appreciate everything that he's done, for the Derby community. Sometimes he gets picked on, but that guy means well, man. And
he bought 12 cars out of his own money, and we finished them cars up when I got to New York, and he pretty much brought 12 cars to that Derby for the MWFA class to make sure that the show was good and for Track Shot Live. So we had something to drive in that class. I took up that 2010 Camaro, and, he pretty much donated all those other vehicles, or brought all those other vehicles for all of us to have fun with and put on a show for the crowd. So that says enough right there for Josh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's definitely cool. Now, your weekend didn't go without a little bit of controversy. We got to watch a video here, Robbie.
Seen that? You seen that too?
I hate to put you on the spot here, but we've got to get your take.
Oh boy!
So I'll share the screen, and
I haven't watched this yet. So See what it looks like from the sidelines. I lived it, so we'll see what it looks like from the sidelines.
Walk us through this, man.
I put some pretty hard shots on that Ford Explorer that's against the wall right there. Right now, my stick is broke in my hand, waving it at that guy. You can see me throw it right there. I already had broke off. That's me telling him right there that I'd already broke off. I showed him my stick the whole way, him looking right at me, grinning. He cleaned off the front of that van. He full tracked me with my stick in my hand, telling him the stick was broke. I was irate. I'll tell you that.
What was it about? I mean, so
I hit him. I hit him from about half track into front end of his van and packed him up onto the wall, up against the wall pretty good, and he got out. And then I full tracked him I 3/4 tracked him again into his front end. And on that second time, when the van come off the ground, the front axle snapped. He actually shoved me forward and sideways to get out from behind me. And I broke my stick at that point because that wasn't my van. There was a guy there that I met this weekend. They call him Yoshi. Very nice guy. He actually brought that van there for Fatty, and Fatty was afraid with that class. I mean, I don't blame him. That's a rough class. I derby a lot. So does Fatty, but
yeah, he was scared, wasn't he?
Yeah, he didn't want to. Oh, Fatty's on here. What's up, brother? He's probably making fun of me. Me and Fatty was pretty upset. I'll just tell you that. And lucky that we're both trying to be professionals. You know what I mean? But the shot that he took on me was definitely uncalled for, and not what a normal derby driver would do to somebody.
So let me break this down. Fatty says he wasn't scared. I knew he was going to like that comment. So let me break this down. You break your stick. You're literally waving it at this guy.
I had it out the window like this, showing it to him the whole way. And he still smoked me with that, with me showing it to him.
Was there any conversation afterwards? I mean, it looked like there was some conversation in the car or in the van. Was that
I might have cussed him a little bit. But I pretty much was telling him, like, you know, that was completely uncalled for. He junked that guy's van. Yes, the back end was smashed all the way to the gas tank protector, but somebody could have ran that van in a cup. And that was what I was thinking the whole time. Like, hey, somebody else can run this. The axle's broke. I'm clearly out. You know what I mean? So I just snapped it off. Like, I'm not going to sit there and rev it to the moon and try to make it a miracle happen where the axle just pops back in and we're ready to go. I broke the stick off. And he went down, and I already had the stick broke. Like, I didn't even know he was going to come back and hit me when he was going down. But as he made the loop and come down the wall, I was showing him the stick the whole way, like, hey, I'm broke. Hey, I'm broke. I would say he got probably 6 inches of the driver door there, or maybe a little bit more in front wheel. It smashed my legs into the dash bar pretty good and the door bar because, I mean, it was uncalled for. You know what I mean? I thought, okay, any minute he's going to turn away or stop, right? I'm showing him the stick. No, he just held it wide open, full track.
What is kind of crazy about it when I was watching it is it's literally you're looking straight at him. This isn't on the passenger side. You're literally looking straight at him with your stick in your hand.
He was looking at me, smiling with his helmet pulled down where you could see him going the whole way. Like, it was on purpose. He told me and Fatty both that anybody that hits him, like I hit him, he's hitting them back no matter what.
Now, I bring this up because last week we had this conversation, or 2 weeks ago we had this conversation in which guys waving off and whatnot. And Brian, who obviously follows what we're talking about on here, he's saying the same thing. We talked about, hey, is this a universal mercy sign because you don't know what's happening in the car? Like, you could have been hurt. You don't know. He doesn't know why you broke your stick.
Nope.
So I bring this up, and it just happened to happen with you. so it's pretty easy to have a conversation with, because some guys won't even come on the podcast and discuss these types of things. But is this like where there should be consequences, where people should step, like what happens? Like this could escalate if this was in a bigger car, if it was on a driver's door. I know everybody out there has seen red at some point, meaning they've been just so pissed off at something that they're going to get back at somebody. But we can't allow that to happen, right? In football, they got 15-yard penalties. If you get too mad and start punching a helmet or something, you get a 15-yard penalty. And then your teammates or your coaches kind of hold you accountable and say, look, dude, you can't be doing that, right? So what do we do about this? Is there anything that we can do? Like, just want to get your thoughts.
I'm not sure what you do in this situation. I can only speak for myself, and I don't want Gully or any of them to be mad at anything that I say on this podcast. I don't even know the guy's name. Don't care to know it. He showed his colors when he did it. I don't think anything of this guy. He could be Dale Earnhardt level, and I still think that he's scum. So I'll just say that for what he did right then. It showed his colors to me. He seen me with that stick waving it. There's no way possible he did not see me. I mean, he was looking straight at me and never lifted. Literally eye contact, me and him the whole way. When I seen he wasn't going to lift, I braced, and that's when I slammed into that bar and everything. But, as far as consequences, there's nothing that we can do to him because we don't have no way to do anything to him. Spinning wheels could throw him out, right? But what's that do? He'll just go somewhere else and run. Without an organization.
The computer, right? Like one post away from just everybody's POS and
right.
This and
right.
That.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
Nobody knows the backstory, right?
Right. So without an organization or something, to where, and I hate saying that, but we need to say that, but without an organization or some way for everybody to be organized where you can say, what you did, you're on probation, you're suspended until a certain date, or you don't run anymore this year. And that would make people think twice about this situation. I mean, I can talk about another situation if you want me to, that I heard about.
Sure. Yeah.
So almost the same situation, but without a person in the car. So another promoter that I'm close to, that I'm friends with, pulls a car to the side of the ring during the heat for a Mad Dog. Right? I wasn't there. This is secondhand, but I know what happened, and it's still not right. So supposedly he pulls this car to the side of the track for a Mad Dog, starts the heat back up. Soon as they say go, one of the guys that the Mad Dog car had beef with, full tracks that Mad Dog car against the wall. Soon as they said go, and junks it. It's the same situation. What do you do about that without an organization or something? That promoter will not allow that person or the group that he runs with to run his shows anymore. But he can go to any other promoter and run, right? So that don't do nothing but hurt that promoter, because he technically just lost 5 cars, 10 cars. Yeah, he lost out on the, he don't have to worry about the drama anymore. And a lot of times us promoters get tired of the drama, so it's a win. But in reality, when you start losing car count, that's what hurts a promoter, right? So without an organization or some way for everybody to together to say, what you did, your actions, you're suspended, right? Or you no longer run this year with us, or whatever, right? There has to be something. I agree. I don't know what the answer is. I've derbied for a long time, and everybody on here knows that, but I've never had anybody do that to me. I'm telling you that I was as mad as I could be, but I showed being professional because of the group that I was there with, Track Shot Live. I'm not going to fight anybody. I'm not going to show my rear end, even though I wanted to. I told the guy what I thought, and that was it. I don't even know his name. Don't even care. But to answer your question, I don't know what we do without having some type of organization where we can organize ourselves together as promoters and whatnot, and say that somebody that does something like that don't run, or they're suspended, just like other motorsports. Dirt track does it. Somebody shows their butt like that. Dirt track throws them out, suspends them, whatever. So
Well,
NASCAR.
there has to be consequences to this, right? I mean, and the thing is that you can't have consequences, just as you mentioned, without people standing together. It's the same thing as with the county fair stuff that we talk about and getting better payouts for the drivers and this and that. Um, Look, if we stand together, everybody gets better. A high tide raises all ships. It really does. And we can do things like this. Heck, at one of my shows, my first show ever, actually, it was the first big show ever. It was the prequel to The King. This happened. And tell me what you guys would do in this circumstance. We had a driver who didn't make contact within a minute. We went out and broke his stick. Bad decision that we made to leave that driver in his car. That driver said, I'm going to continue running, and smokes a guy in his wheel. What do you do? Like, we broke his stick. We've eliminated him from competition. I know what we did moving forward is we removed the driver from the car as soon as we break their stick, so they can't do that. But that driver put us in an awful situation, and he smoked another guy in the tire. What do you do? I mean,
I just came up with an idea. What if you impounded that person's car and they didn't get it back unless they paid up a certain amount of money for their actions?
I just don't know. I don't know if you can.
I mean, how much did the parts cost that he smoked on that guy's car? How much did that guy lose that he smoked? You know what I mean? What was the potential amount of money that was on the line? That driver needs to pay a percentage of that to get his car back. I mean, that's fair. Something has to be done. Have him arrested, taken off the property. You know what I mean? Get your truck and trailer, get off the property, or keep your car. You can get it when you pay. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Something has to be done, because this is just a minor situation. But Robbie, what if you're in the hospital today? 3 days later, right? Like, because of that shot, like that could happen.
I'm 40 years old and I'm pretty athletic. I don't stop moving, as everybody knows. And I'm pretty strong. I'm not a big guy, but I think I'm pretty strong. And I can tell you that when he hit me like that, with me seeing it coming, after I seen he wasn't going to stop, I braced up pretty good. And it still banged me into all that cage on that driver's side. My kneecap, my leg, my hip. You know what I mean? I mean, that's a pretty hard shot. That was a methanol 4.3 Ford Explorer with a 9-inch flat sprung pointy bumper. I mean, it ain't no joke of a vehicle. That's why I went after him. I don't even know the guy. I just seen him when he came in the track, and I said, that's the guy I got to get if I'm going to try to win this derby. You know what I mean? So when I got my shot, I took it on him twice. And then he pulled that stunt,
Yeah, for sure. Look, Josh, there's no hard feelings here with Track Shot and Robbie. We're bringing this up because we're able to talk about this and shed light on it, because it's somebody that's willing to come on here and talk about it. No shade is being thrown anywhere. It's just, these are the conversations that we have to have. Look, we have grown men. You have to have lines when you're competing, just like you do in baseball. Just like they throw umpires out of the game. You can't just cuss at the ump. You can't argue balls and strikes. There's lines in all sports that you can't cross. And there's unwritten rules and things like that too. In the derby world, it is time that we start to establish these things, right? You can't hit a guy when his stick's broke. There should be consequences to this. I mean, this happened to me just last year at the Smith Metalworks Expo. I was clearly out, and I got smoked. I definitely had some words to say, because it's BS, man. And
the person that I am, I was more upset that he tore up Yoshi's van, because I could tell the back was bent up in the air because it was touching the gas tank protector from hitting that guy a couple of times. I was more upset that he tore that van up and somebody else could have ran it. It wasn't even mine. I was just running it because they wanted us as Track Shot to run it. and have a good time, right? And try to win for the 5th time in that van was our whole goal. I knew that I probably wasn't going to win. The lines were looped and the van was wore out. It's won 4 derbies already.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to go out there and run that van in that class like Yoshi wanted us to. And then that happened. That's what made me more mad than anything, is that the van got destroyed and it wasn't even mine from a shot that shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? And like you said, there's no hard feelings against nobody from Track Shot Live or myself or Fatty or any of us. It's just that, like you said, I didn't even know this was going to come up, but I'm glad it did because it needs to. But that's exactly it. This needs to be talked about in the professional demolition derby world that we all try to be, like as a professional driver, right? So I appreciate you bringing it up and noticing that it happened. I don't think a lot of people even noticed that it happened. So
yeah, no problem. I mean, look, we have to create guidelines, and if you get stray outside of those guidelines, in competition, there has to be consequences to that. And this isn't just a Triple D thing. Robbie, and with your company too, we could sit here and say, well, this is why Triple D is better. Well, we don't want just Triple D to be better. We want everyone to be better. So
right.
To bring this up publicly and talk about it, maybe in drivers' meetings from now on, maybe there's some promoters or people in here that say, hey, look, if you cross these lines and these boundaries, like there is going to be consequences to this. So hopefully that's what happens.
That event happens also makes us think, hey, if this happens at our show, what are we going to do about it? Because I can tell you that I've ran since I was 10 years old. I'm 40, just turned 40. I've never had this happen to me. And at times, Dustin, for a few years though, I ran 50 plus cars a year, and I've still never had this happen. I was shocked. I didn't know what to do other than just be livid. You know what I mean? I was upset, but I had to stay professional.
And this is how things escalate too, right? Look, you're dealing with grown men, and things can escalate quickly. When you get hit like that, you're immediately seeing red. You go out, you get out of your look. I'll throw a scenario at you, Robbie. You get out of your vehicle while the derby's running because you're that mad. We don't have to look too far. We don't have to rewind too far to see in another motorsport in which somebody did that and they lost their life. You know, the whole Tony Stewart incident.
Right.
And,
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so think about that. That guy was seeing red. He got out. He wanted to give Tony Stewart a piece of his business. Who knows what happens from Tony Stewart's point of view, but he doesn't see him. All of a sudden, he hits a guy. You've got tragedy on the track.
Right.
And it all happened because people were seeing red.
Yep. I did not. I didn't get out of my van, though. I stayed in mine. I stayed seatbelt on.
Oh, I know. Yeah. But I'm using that as an example. Like, what if you do?
I did lose my cool and throw my stick at him because I already had it in my hand. You know what I mean? But I was just like, dude, you seen me. You know what I mean? You clearly seen me. And he's like giving me the bird and stuff. And I was like, okay, I see where this is going to go.
Yeah. Well, look, the Derby world is progressing, and we're getting to an established sport. And some of these conversations and these guidelines, they have to be clearly defined. So as this sport continues to grow and really grow into a motorsport that is nationally recognized and sanctioned, all these lines have to be drawn out. I can tell you in our drivers meeting, Robbie, you've known this, you've been in there, Tyson, you've been in there. Most of what we talk about in our drivers meeting is not something that we experience, but something we've seen at another derby. So this is a learning experience for all. I'm trying to keep up on the comments here. A lot of people commenting, a lot of good stuff, and I appreciate it. Just people just chiming in, good stuff. So appreciate that conversation. I want to move on to, we're building a wagon, and I'll give a little update on that wagon build. So we're building a wagon, and we're running that buried alive. And we kind of are updating everybody on that, giving everybody kind of like a walkthrough. So Robbie, I mean, and Tyson, we've talked about this. We really want the drivers to hype up the show, like especially for the King. I've been preaching this. Like, people want to see what they haven't seen before. They want to hear, they want to get the inside scoop. They want pictures of the build. They want all that stuff. And that helps the hype of the show. It helps everything. And we've been asking drivers to do this for the past couple of years. Some will do it, some won't. So Tyson and I, Tyson came down and did some filming for me and helped me out in the garage. Tyson and I have kind of put this on our own to say, well, if we're asking other drivers to do it, why don't we do it? This is solely why we're building this wagon, is we wanted to create content for these guys, give them an opportunity to see in our garage. We don't do everything right. Our garage isn't perfect. My welds aren't perfect. I'm not a professional welder. You can nitpick everything, right? But it's that access that you wouldn't get otherwise. And that's why we're doing this. So if you guys want to stay up on that build and you want to see what we're creating, we're giving you all access. I mean, Tyson, how many conversations have we had in the garage where you're like, hey, do you want guys to see this? And I may say no at times, and you're like, well, I mean, there's nothing I can film if you don't let me film this.
Yeah, yeah, all the way down to just simply cutting brackets, or you know, should we put it here? Should we do this? And it's like, well, I don't want to look dumb on it, but it's like, it's real. I mean, everybody goes through it. I mean, you got to think it out and think the process of it. So
I liked watching the episode where you guys did where you put the subframe underneath there and you cut the other one out, how you cut it and where you cut it and all that. That's good information.
yeah,
I've done it myself, but that's what a lot of people won't show. That's what a lot of people are always like, well, how do I reclip a car? You did it. You showed it.
Yeah, and maybe it's not the best way. Maybe it's not perfect.
Look good to me.
Whatever. But oh well. Hopefully, people comment on and show me how to do it, or they make their own videos and say, "Hey, look, I do it this way, so
right.
we can steal it." Remember the fix-it plates, Tyson?
Yep.
I'm like, man, I don't want to show these fix-it plates because they're like parallelograms that you're always reading into the rules. And he's like, I mean, if you ain't gonna show it, then there ain't nobody gonna show it. So we did a whole video of like, all right, this is how we cut our fix-it plates out. This is our template that we made. This is how I'm structuring it on the frame. I'm using this to do this to this to connect all of it. Now my whole frame is done the way it needs to be done, or at least my thoughts are right the way it needs to be done on an old school wagon. And that was pretty revealing. I mean, that's got a lot of action. I think it's at 13,000 views on the reels. So there's a lot of people entertained by that stuff.
Yeah, and like you guys said, the worst thing that comes out of it, either nobody watches it and it just dies out. But like you said, the hope would be is that the next guy sees it and then says, oh, or it sparks the light bulb, and then he goes and does it, or somebody comes along and says, no, I've done that 20 years ago, and this is why you shouldn't. Well, now we've progressed the derby world in a public way to bigger and better. So.
Did we get into all this patching? Are we going to show some of that patching, Tyson, that we did in the back of these wagons? Everybody does it in these wagons. We did it too, just like everyone else. Look, the seams are rusty, so we patched the seams. We'll get into some of those videos, why we're doing what we do. The quarters were blown off of it. We called on and found out how we could fix it. And I found out, Tyson, so here's something that I got to make a video about. Where I found out that the quarter was wrecked. There's Bondo all the way up to the C-pillar, going up the C-pillar. And then in the taillight section, I literally saw with it, when I was welding today and fixing that rust right at the pillar, there was the spot welds where they tacked the new quarter in. So that's why that quarter got blown off.
Blew it apart. Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't know that, and I'm sure the person that built that wagon before didn't know that, and that's why that quarter
separated.
got blown off the way it did. Yeah, all the weld, there was nothing welded there. You know, they just tack it on and then they Bondo over it, and it's good for the road.
Yeah, it
Robbie,
was
they asked,
this.
go ahead.
Go ahead. This is just the first time that I've ever even seen an old school up close. So it's been a whole learning experience for me just to even see how it was all put together from the sections of the seams and the way that they actually put it together from factory. So it's been an experience in itself.
And we're just going to get blown apart anyways, and then everyone's going to say you can't build a wagon. So probably so.
We tried.
Yeah, we tried. Is it going to be 4.6 powered, Robbie?
Only if you're letting me drive it.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't let you drive the wagon. No, I actually, for those of you that don't know, my buddy Mitch Miracle builds my motors, Miracle Racing Engines. He's actually built a lot of motors now for a lot of people, but his motors have never failed me, and it's something that I will continue to run. And if you guys look at my sponsor signs, anything like that, I always have Miracle engines on everything. He is out of Salina, Ohio, where I'm from, and he's an awesome engine builder. I don't know how busy he wants to get, so be. I don't want to hype him. Sometimes he hates when I give him any credit because of that, but look, he's really good to me. So. I want to get into a couple other things here. Let me make sure I'm going through my list. I think we want to get into Blizzard Bash Gold Rush stuff. So the last part of our agenda here is Blizzard Bash Gold Rush. So we're like a month before the show of each one of these, and I haven't seen any drivers list for any national team brackets until today. I saw Blizzard Bash put out theirs. I haven't seen Gold Rush. I know there's a lot of people in the Derby world picking one or the other. This is kind of a big battle going on. What do you guys think? This
I've been
good,
so busy,
bad, ugly for the Derby world? What is it?
I've been so busy, I haven't seen the list, so I would have to look at it. I'm sorry. I know that my buddy Jason Dials told me that he was running when I was in Kansas. I know he's running both places, I believe. So I know for a fact that he had said he was running. I'd have to look at the list, though.
I went over the list and of the Blizzard Bash list, and it looked like some noticeable team names that weren't on the Blizzard Bash list that I can only assume are going to be on the Gold Rush list was Team Octane, Team Calisota Style, Team Bush Light, Derby Icons, Near It Demo, CPI, and GH Graphics. So there's 7 teams that I think you could probably fill in that are going to be on the Gold Rush list, which is, that's pretty big names going to be on that Gold Rush list. It looks like they still got 17 teams for that national team bracket. What is interesting, though, guys, is I don't think either one of these places is having a qualifying bracket because they both pulled from each other's demographics, I would say. And so neither one of them are going to be able to field a qualifying bracket. So, it's going to be interesting. I think Blizzard Bash did fill it with some other team show. And I think Gold Rush is doing the same, but it's going to be interesting. Robbie, are you going out to either one of them?
I'm going to both. I'm vending at Blizzard Bash, but I'm going to Gold Rush to hang out and to just have a good time.
So you're going to be on the road for 2 weeks?
I'm flying to Gold Rush and I'm driving to Blizzard Bash. I'm literally flying home, be home for like 2 days, and then turn around and drive out to Blizzard Bash from South Dakota.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild month. There is a lot. With that said, guys, there's a lot of just competition in the Derby world. There's a lot of things going on for these drivers and pushing the sport. I would look for the next month and a half there's going to be some what's the word am I looking for? Some carnage, I guess, after this next month and a half. I mean, there's just a lot of people competing for the same real estate, and who knows how this is going to shake up. It's going to be interesting.
I think that the South Dakota Gold Rush Derby is going to be a lot of fun for everybody. And I think it's going to be something new for everybody. You know, I think it's going to be a really fun experience. I've been doing a bunch of Googling and trying to figure out the landmarks that's around it. And I think that Mount Rushmore is like 45 minutes away. So I went to that with my grandparents when I was a kid. I'm going to go hit that up. It'd just be cool to go bounce over there and check out Mount Rushmore with a bunch of your Derby buddies, you know, just hanging out in the pits afterwards, etc. That's why I'm not vending there, because I want to hang out with everybody and just have a good time.
You know, you're going to get suckered into working on somebody's car.
Oh, I won't. It won't be suckering. I won't be able to resist it. I'll be like, anybody need help? Anybody need help? You want me to put that motor in? Let's do it. No.
Going to one of these shows, man, it is very difficult. We got a chance a little bit, I think, at Metal Mayhem because you closed down shop early due to this false rainstorm that was on my radar.
Yeah.
Yep. But
that worked out though. That worked out though. We got to relax for a minute and got something to eat. That worked out. That rainstorm definitely played a bluff on us, but that worked out. That was good.
Yeah, I mean, man, that rainstorm was what was that? That rainstorm was was crazy, but we did get to relax a little bit for that. Something just went crazy over here. I don't know what the heck it was. Like some beat on my window or something. I don't know.
Big old ghost.
Dude, did you guys hear that?
I heard it. Yep.
It scared the heck out of me. So, anyways, we got to relax a little bit at Metal Mayhem, but you don't really get to do that much, man. You're always talking to people, and you try to talk to as many people as you can. You get into a spot that if you feel that if you don't talk to, you don't get to talk to everybody that you would like to. You don't, you're almost leaving them hanging. So I know that Robbie, you're in that situation with selling parts and promoting. You're always trying to be friendly with everyone.
Yeah.
So
with being a vendor, the hardest thing for me, and what the thing that I try to make sure that's a goal of mine, is especially on the 2-day shows like that, or 3-day shows, whatever it is, I always try to make sure that I stay open as long as possible, so those guys that are tearing into those cars have a place to come get those parts at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. So with that being said, all I get to hear is the motors revving and the announcer talking 90% of that derby. So I do try to watch some of the live stuff, but like you said, talking to customers and trying to make sure you talk to every single person that's at your booth and show them respect for stopping by. You don't get to see the live stuff either. And, that's what I try to do as being a vendor, and it's hard. So.
Yeah, it definitely is. You want to take it in, people are talking about the show, but got a couple comments I wanted to get to here real quick. Brian comments, if you haven't been to Blizzard Bash in person, you're missing out.
Yep.
Look, indoor derbies have a different feel. I think anyone that's ever been to one is it's a different feel.
I go every year. I love it. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the indoor shows are great. There's a lot of risk, involved in that with having an indoor show, but indoor shows are pretty cool. And if you haven't been, it is a neat experience.
Yeah, with my comment about Gold Rush, I wasn't taking nothing from Blizzard Bash. Blizzard Bash is an awesome experience. I was just saying with Gold Rush being new, it's going to be all new to me, which is going to be awesome just to go there and check out new scenery and just a new environment, right? Blizzard Bash, I can pretty much tell you where everything is because I've been there so much. So, but I think Gold Rush is going to be new, and I think it's going to be neat, fun, new experience. So,
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all this shakes out. That's for sure. It's indoor, Brian. It's an indoor show. So Brian asked if it was indoor or outdoor.
Yeah,
it
it's
is
definitely indoor.
Show.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
very similar to Blizzard Bash. I think it is just a little bit bigger. I think it might hold 10, 11,000 seats rather than like 7 or 8, what Blizzard Bash holds.
7
But,
days before, ain't it, or something like that?
yeah, 7 days before. You think that was is that a coincidence, Tyson?
I'm not sure, but it definitely makes the Derby part of me really, really happy to go to 2 big Super Bowl style derbies back to back like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure each one of them is you. Anytime you have a derby like that, you're praying for good weather. So each one of those places is. I mean, it's not called Blizzard Bash for no reason. I know that there have been times in which it was a damn blizzard out there, and if you track the South Dakota, I'm sure it's possible that the weather could get crazy. So I know everybody is. Comments are cracking me up. I know everybody's crossing their fingers for good weather. So we'll see. I have seen some of the team names for Gold Rush, just haven't seen the list. I've just seen people selling T-shirts and whatnot. So it's gonna be interesting to see these 2 shows. There's no doubt about that. Anything else for the good of the order, guys?
This weekend is I'm going to a derby in Minnesota, so excited about that. I'll leave either tomorrow or Thursday to head out to that. I'm trying to pack up orders that I missed while I was out of town in New York. So Minnesota Throwdown is this weekend. So for the Derby family, check that out a little bit.
Is that going to be on Track Shot or anything? What's that?
Yes, it will be on Track Shot. Yep.
Okay. And is that Tixie's running that?
That's Tixie's show. Yep.
Okay.
It's going to be good. They're there working on cars. Linky's been there all week last week helping, trying to get cars ready while Tix was with us in New York. So it should be a really good event to watch on TV and if you don't have anything going on.
People were at a couple people. Derek, I should be at both events also. We'll see. I'm running the week before. I'm at Buried Alive, and trying to balance this entire schedule is pretty tough, as I'm sure Robbie is finding out too. My right hand man's ditching me. Tyson, he's going to go to the Sunshine State for South Dakota. He already let me know. So
my offer still stands, though, Dustin. If you need me to drive that car, if it's too much, just let me know, okay, Bob?
Well, I do get worried. I'm scared.
I ain't saying you're scared. Just if you got too much going on, I don't have anything going on over here. So I'll come up there and drive that wagon for you.
These guys in the shop constantly remind me how bad I am or how bad I'm going to get beat. Trust me. And if it's not Tyson, it's Mitch is constantly reminding me. So I haven't even lived down the Iron City performance.
It's a dream of mine to get my butt in a seat on one of those wagons, and one of these days I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to have to pay $200,000 for a roller body when it happens, but it's going to happen one of these days.
Well, I get to live that experience here in just about a month, so it's pretty cool. Look, I bought this wagon. I don't want to say cheap, but the quarter was blown off of it, needed reclipped, so I don't think I could pass it up, and it needed a little fixing. It isn't perfect. This wagon's not perfect by any means. I would love to build a 1976 Chevy one day. I did have one at the house. I don't have it here anymore, but I had a couple other wagons that I got rid of too. But Robbie, someday, let's build some 76 Chevy wagons.
I'm ready. Just help me. Just give me a blank check, and I'll go find us 2 of them. I know Tixie's got some, so I just need a good check from you, signed, blank. I'll take care of it. I'll get us 2 to your house.
I don't know. Those guys that you buy those wagons from, they don't take checks, man. It's only cash.
Skin Dog take a check from me. Trust me. Give me a good check. I'll go get us a couple.
Shoot. Whole Skinny's got gold mine out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he does.
Oh, man. Good stuff. Well, guys, it's episode 20 of the War Room. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you too for joining us. Again, if you haven't, make sure you get on our socials, like and subscribe. We're giving tons of content. And someday here soon, we're going to get Robbie's Simple Solution stuff in there too, and start beating the drum of that. So we'll get that on there. Thanks again for tuning in. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 8.
Thanks for having me on, Dustin. See ya.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.